I have just created something totally illogical.
That's what I like about
If you build it, you build it.
You feel what? Fool
You didn't say.
in when that happens.
Two.
Who's your invoices?
Ray is. I think I know what "if you build it, he will come" means.
Ooh, why do I not think this is such a good thing?
Daddy, there's a man out there in your lawn. Are you a ghost?
What do you think?
You look real to me.
Hi.
You couldn't see it.
This is really interesting.
You believed in the magic. It happened. Isn't that enough?
Annie, it's more than that. I feel it as strongly as I've ever felt anything in my life. There's a reason.
Go the distance.
Did you hear the voice too? Did you hear it?
Go the distance.
Yes.
Our Graham is dead. He died in 1972.
Are you Moonlight Graham?
No one's called me Moonlight Graham in 50 years.
Unbelievable.
It's more than that. It's perfect.
You build a baseball field in the middle of nowhere and you sit here and you stare at nothing.
This field, this game, it's a part of our past, Ray. It reminds us of all that once was good.
Hey, this heaven?
No. Iowa.
Kevin Costner.
It's Iowa.
It's Iowa, very famous line.
Isn't that a great summation of the movie?
It is. And, I'll finish on these two notes. Like, how I said it came out in 1989. I think one of the themes of the movie, I'm graduating from high school. I'm, being forced to become an adult. And a lot of the underlying themes of this movie are about aging and about losing your desire to do something important and about getting old. And even though people don't think about it that way, that's really what's going on here. It's about what do you trust in? What do you believe in? What direction are you going? And also about relationships, which is like my favorite thing in the world. And I love when we watched it again last night, the scene that I really like, which they played right there, is when he's like, I just, this is really illogical what I'm doing. Like I'm going in a direction that doesn't make sense for the age we are and for having a child and for owning a farm. I'm following my internal drive. And, thank goodness the people in this movie, I like them all. I mean, nobody's perfect. They're humans, but like his wife, Annie, being like, well, that's cool. That's what I like about it. Like there's something very good. It's in alignment with really who we are because it feels good.
Well, and I would say that it also asks the movie viewer to suspend logic and to suspend disbelief.
Yes.
In order to enjoy the movie, which is, as somebody who loves being logical and practical, it pushed me out of my comfort zone. And if you would have pitched this idea to me before seeing the movie, I'd be like, that's dumb. Like, why would anybody ever plow their corn, all their money, to build a baseball field in the middle of nowhere? But somehow, through the magic of cinema, it just is this wonderful thing. So I Googled a few themes on what makes this movie special.
Can I say something
Sure,
about
go
what
ahead.
you just said? Is I think the reason they do that so well, or to me, because I'm a little more of a woo-woo, I'm much more of a woo-woo person than you are. You're more practical. Is I like the way it's shown because of the way Ray Kinsella describes it. He's not like, my mind is blown. Oh my God. He's like, this is really interesting. This is really cool. This is really, I don't know why, but hello, like there's not because that's how I feel we are experiencing things every day in life and we don't acknowledge it enough. Like there was a period of time where I kept a coincidence journal for a long time. And I still sometimes write them down, but not the way I used to. And what you find is there's coincidences every day.
Sure.
There's crazy things that happen where you're just like, that is really interesting. Or, you meet someone and they happen to know someone who knows someone and then something happens. But you're like, we are so interconnected and there's things that we could have never predicted or understood that are real. And so I appreciate we don't have a good word for that besides coincidence. What's the word?
Well, this may be related, and this is a little tangential, but I think it's important. So the word that I'm thinking of is wonder. Okay.
Okay, I like
Curiosity.
that. Yeah.
And the reason I say is because my friend Mark just literally emailed me this morning, some blog about how we are trying to pursue happiness, and the pursuit of happiness is actually what makes us unhappy.
Right.
And instead, if we could try to cultivate wonder and curiosity and openness and expansiveness through our, comfortable emotions and our uncomfortable emotions, that's actually what will help us arrive at this state of happiness, not
Right.
the seeking out of happiness. So
Yeah.
for me, this movie, it invites us to bring wonder into our lives.
And, and again, I know you're going to say all the themes, but wonder that we all have access to.
Mhm.
See, because sometimes we're like, well, that happened to that person, or that person had that experience, but it's because the people who are experiencing wonder have a self-trust and an internal drive or an intrinsic motivation that allows them to experience wonder. If you are in life just taking steps that grant you some kind of external validation, money, culture, what my friends tell me to do, what my parents told me to do, I'm going to study what's safe, you're not going to have a lot of wonder.
Right.
I mean, I hate to be such a downer, but they're really, how do you?
And it's what makes us different from the animals.
Exactly.
I don't know if dogs can wonder. I don't know if orangutans can wonder. Maybe they can wonder,
they
but
might.
we have the capacity, and you can insert wonder, you can insert imagination, awe. So I'm just going to roll off some of these themes and you riff off of them,
Okay.
but I'll just read them off real quick. Field of Dreams invites belief and imagination,
Right.
which is what we're talking about.
Mhm.
Father-son relationships,
Yeah.
redemption and second chances,
Correct.
baseball,
Yeah.
which
Which
I
we
love.
love.
The
Mhm.
role of women, and Annie, is that her name?
Yeah.
And how amazing she is.
Yeah. She's the grounding force of the whole movie.
She is. Nostalgia and the past, life and death, and rural America.
Yes. Can I just throw out one thing because it has to be said, and then I'm going to put a pin in it?
Sure, let's put a pin in something after
Okay.
you say something.
I am going to put a pin in this because during Terrence Malick's speech at the end.
Terrence
No,
Malick?
that's Terrence Malick's the director. Terrence Mann.
Yeah.
Is that right? Terrence Mann?
Yeah.
Terrence Malick's the director, Terrence Mann. Okay. Terrence Mann, yes. He says that we can go back to a time when
Oh, sorry.
we can go back. You don't have to play it.
No, I'm not going to.
We can go back to a time when things were good.
Mhm.
And I get a little worried about listening to that's that MAGA kind of feel.
Well,
You know
not
what I
just
mean?
that. There was a lot of, this was when things were good. Was that mean 1920s? Because there's a lot of bad things that were going on in our
Right,
world in
right.
the 1920s.
Right.
And there is a lot of bad things going on in 1980s.
I think if I were to rework that scene, which nobody's asking me to, I would say that baseball
Mhm.
is the consistent thing that has reminded us of the good in every stage.
Yes.
Not that going back in time, I get it, the people are going to come see the players from a different time and relive their youth. I get it.
Yeah.
But when we romanticize a time that it was a better time,
Sure.
and that we need to go back to that time, I think that it's at least at this stage we're in 2023, that's not a great thing to say.
Well, and especially in baseball, there's, let me just say one thing that I used to love about baseball.
Yeah.
The All-Star game, because in the All-Star game, when I was growing up, people didn't change teams. Pete
Oh.
Rose was a Cincinnati Red, or maybe I think he played for the Phillies and the Reds, but Rod Carew was on the Angels. Babe Ruth was on the Yankees. I know he got traded from Boston, but nowadays baseball, people change all the time.
Because of contracts,
Yeah,
money,
because of contracts, free
agents.
agency, the money that is grabbed onto. If
Yeah.
you look at the average salary for a baseball player in 1985,
Mhm.
I'm guessing it was $200,000.
Mhm.
And now it's
Millions.
3.5 million
Yeah.
or something like that. The thing is, there was a lot of, and steroids
Yeah.
intruded in baseball, but
Yeah.
there was people taking uppers or speed or whatever it is in the 70s and the 80s. I think they called them greenies, or I forget what they called them. So
In gambling.
this whole idea that baseball was more pure back then,
Yeah.
it really wasn't. We
Right.
want to view it as more pure,
Yeah.
and maybe there are some examples of how it was more pure.
So let me kind of cut to the chase of what I think they're attempting to say.
Yeah.
Is when we experienced baseball as children, We were innocent.
Yes.
So we
There you go.
saw it through a lens of innocence.
Yes.
And so we're not really going back to a time that was better. We are going back to a time when we were innocent.
Yes.
So these people who are lining up to go see the games in Dyersville, Iowa,
Yeah.
it's because they want to remember innocence, not because they want to go back to 1952 or 1923.
Right.
And I think that is like, there's so many baseball movies that's what it's about. Like the plot is a kid loved baseball when they were little, and it's their grounding center, and
Yeah.
it's fever pitch.